fuse and run. I say, whoa, I am my father's son. Light that fuse and run. Whoa, light that fuse and run. Whoa, light that fuse and run. Whoa, light that fuse and run. College, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. Bang out the buzzword, teaching that blind man to say, you might get the best of him, but sure, never for me. Now, sweet talk to beanstalk, tail jack, to go and fetch your bang. Try that and upstate boy to a different kind of scene. Went off to college, but college turned out me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. I said, whoa, light that fuse and run. I said, whoa, I am my father's son. Light that fuse and run. Whoa, light that fuse and run. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. Bang out the buzzword, teaching that blind man to sing. You might get the best of him, but you'll never fool me. Now, sweet talk to beanstalk, tail jack, to go and fetch your bang. Try that and upstate boy to a different kind of scene. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. I said, whoa, light that fuse and run. I say, whoa, I am my father's son. Light that fuse and run. Whoa, light that fuse and run. Whoa. But college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. Bang out the buzzword, teaching that blind man to say, you might get the best of him, but sure, never for me. Now, sweet talk to beanstalk, tail jack, to go and fetch your bang. Try that and upstate boy to a different kind of scene. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. I said, whoa, light that I say, whoa, I am my father's son. Let that fuse and run. Whoa, let that fuse and run. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. Bang out the buzzword, teaching that blind man to sing. You might get the best of him, but you'll never fool me. Now, sweet talk to beanstalk, tell Jack to go and fetch your bang. Try that in upstate boy. Went off to college, but college done up me. Couldn't get my master's in truth and loyalty. I said, whoa, light that fuse and run. I say, whoa, I am my father's son. Let that fuse and run. Whoa, let that fuse and run.
What is up, 24/7 Buff Fandemonium? It's your boy Swank. It's Tuesday night. It's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that can only mean one thing. It's time for the K-Gun Report. Not just any K-Gun Report, a very special K-Gun Report. We told you last week. We've been hyping it for a couple of weeks. Mr. Don Beebe, the great 82, is with us tonight, and we're really excited to talk some football with him, talk about his new book, and get into all this Bills news, wide receiver news. It's going to be a great night, guys. Get your comments coming in. Get your questions coming in. We're going to roll this intro, and we're going to get right into it. Here we are, and here it is on another beautiful Tuesday here in upstate New York. I am Swank, the host of the K-Gun Report, and guys, I could not be happier than, oh man, like 13-year-old me is just wigging out in my 40-year-old body right now because we have the man himself, Mr. Don Beebe, right below me, joining the panel tonight. Don, how's it going? Appreciate you taking the time. We got a lot of real excited people in the comments and on the panel to talk to you. Right up here next to me is my brother from another mother, Mr. Scooter Magooter. Scott, what do you got, buddy? The originators of the Bills Mafia. We'll get into all that a little bit later. Right down here, kitty corner, is his twin brother, my boy, Mr. Jarrod Reed. What's up, Jerry? Absolutely. Guys, I would be remiss if I did not let you know that we are part of the Buff Fan Base Network, the original Bills Mafia creators. And as part of that, we're sponsored by 26 Shirts. Go to 26shirts.com. Del Reed and the gang got all sorts of great threads out there for you guys. And, get some real fresh tees, help a family in Western New York. They've raised almost $2 million to date for local Western New York families. Get over there and give them all you got, man. They're the best. Oh, no. Well, that's not good. Yeah. I muted the other panelists, they say, huh? Oh, man. Hold on one second here, guys. I'm so sorry. It really is, yeah. Okay. I am. Yep, I'm working on it. Oh, wow.
So I've been very fortunate. I had a great father, mother that did that to me, and I think it gave me the ability to do what I was able to do as an athlete because of the discipline, and work ethic, and then I never give up and all that stuff that goes with that.
That's great, man. That's great.
Are we on?
I'm working on it right now. It's so close, I swear. That was beautiful. I am. Swank. Yeah. That's great, man. That's great. Yep. You're good. No, you're good. I'm trying to. This stupid thing is not working. Guys, I'm here. Please let me know if you can hear us. I'm going to start adding the guys back one at a time. We're going to start right here with Mr. Don Beebe. And let me know as soon as you can right in the comments. So sorry about the confusion. Don, can you hear me?
I'm in. I'm good.
Hey, let us know in the comments if you can hear Mr. Don Beebe. I'll tell you what. We got Jarrod Reed right here. Jerry, you there? You good? You see us?
Here.
All right. Sounds good. Everybody says they can see and hear. Crisis averted. We're only 20 minutes late. You guys missed out on such a great conversation. I'm so sorry.
They're all good. They're Bills fans. They always hang in there, man. We're good.
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go. Everybody can hear Mr. Beebe. They're stoked. There we go. All right. Real quick, just to go back through it, diagonal from me. Oh, this way. The man himself, Mr. Don Beebe, has joined the panel, and we're so excited to have him. Say hi to everybody again, if you don't mind, Don.
Guys, how you doing? Good to be on the show. I brought my Never Give Up coffee cup, so we're good, man. All right.
Very nice. See, that's what I use that term just to get through this so that we can pop through. Never give up, man. That's right.
That's right.
And of course, right up here next to me is my brother from another mother.
Can you guys hear me okay now too?
Yeah, we got you, buddy. You can hear us? No, now we're gonna lose Scott, right?
Scott's out, yeah. Harry, I think he's caught up now.
You might be. Oh, there he is. You got us, Scott? No, not yet. All right, we're popping Scott out. Jerry, how you doing tonight, brother?
I'm doing good. Got me?
I got you, man.
All right, yeah. Yep, just stoked to get a little bit of conversation going. Like Swank said, we had a nice conversation while we were waiting, so let's keep it going.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Real quick, man, we got 596 of you guys that hung through that huge debacle, and we appreciate you. Don't forget, we're part of the Buff Fan Base Network, the originators of the Bills Mafia, and part of 26 Shirts. Go to 26shirts.com. Give them all their money. They'll do great things with it, and you'll feel better about it. Real quick, let's just run through these. We got Uncle James in the comment. We got Corey Blaine saying, no worries, take your time. Thanks, Corey. We got Patrick Hughes. What's up, Patrick? We got Adam. What's up, brother? Jim Graham. Nate Nacho, my favorite handle in social media history. We got Harold Fuller. We got Josh Cook, our brother Cookie, who helps us out with a benefit we do with Mark Maddox every year, Don. He is a huge fan of yours. So he was so stoked to have you on the show today.
Yeah, how you doing, man? Thanks for being on.
Yo, this is just in. We got another twin right over here. Scott, can you hear us now? You good now?
Perfectly fine, guys. Almost like nothing happened.
Hey, there we go. There we go.
I was watching, guys, on Instagram, this show called The K-Gun Report. They couldn't get any of their stuff together. You couldn't hear them.
Man, nothing. We're all here now. We're all about business now, man. We got Berto in the comments saying it's showtime. Welcome, Mr. Beebe. Everybody can hear everybody. Great. Thank you so much. Guys, we're so honored to have Mr. Don Beebe on the panel tonight, but he has a new book out. And Don, I would love if you would just tell everybody a little bit about it, where they can find it.
Sure. So it was back in 2012, wrote a book called 6 Rings from Nowhere. 4 rings with Buffalo and the 2 with Green Bay Packers. And obviously everybody knows I came from nowhere, but, and then just recently I was approached, my daughter works for a marketing firm down in Nashville, and they asked me if I would do a wide receiver book. And so I was writing this wide receiver book, about halfway through it. And then I just felt like, man, why am I doing a wide out book? I want to do something that could impact people, because that's really what I'm all about. And this literally just came out of the blue. A book that I've developed. It's a devotional book. I mean, obviously, you guys know about my faith and all that. And what I did was I wrote a devotional. Now, everybody knows about devotionals, and there's devotionals out there for athletes. But I thought, I've never heard of a former athlete write a devotional based on things that happened to them throughout their career, and how did they handle that and get through it. And so I thought, what a great concept. Yeah. And so I wrote this devotional called Never Give Up. As a matter of fact, it's right here. I just have to have one on my desk.
Nice.
It's a devotional, never give up, with me running, Leon, everybody knows that play, especially in Buffalo. So,
Absolutely.
but what it is, it's just stories that happen to me, like how to deal with a coach that doesn't like you, or you don't feel like you fit in. I mean, every kid that plays sports, I don't care, you're going to have that day. It's coming. Or in a lot of the things apply to people in life. You don't fit in at work. What do you do? And so I share the experiences that I had. And I might even talk about some of them tonight as well. And boy, we just came out about a month and a half ago, and it's been phenomenal.
Awesome.
And Swank, I appreciate you bringing it up. The only place you can get it right now is donbeebe.com. You can't get it anywhere else. You can't get it on Amazon. You can't find it nowhere. We're only selling it right now on donbeebe.com. And I'm really excited about it. I got a lot of speaking engagements coming up to talk about this book, and I'm book signings and everything of this nature. So I'm excited only because I know it's going to help people. I didn't do it for that. And now, as and we've talked before, I actually about 6 weeks ago as well, just signed on a deal with Salty Earth Pictures. They're going to do the Don Beebe story. It's gonna come out in about 2 years is what they're looking at, 2.5 years. And we're meeting with investors this whole summer. Already had about 50 people I've met with, and meet with more in July, and really excited about it. I had years ago, maybe about 8 years ago, I had an agreement with people out of Nashville, and it never got funded. This one is going to get funded. There's no doubt.
Awesome.
This group has already put out 8 movies, and this will be their 9th one. So my wife and I, Diane, are very excited about it.
Wow, that's great. Congratulations on all that. That's amazing.
It.
Yeah.
Yeah. And really, guys, the movie and the book and all that stuff, it ain't about me. God gave me a great story. I should never played football. If you ever knew my story, and some of you guys might know it, only playing 2 years of college football, and one at Shadron State, Nebraska, which at that time was NAI Division II, one of the small schools in the country. And then getting invited to the combine in 1989 was a miracle in itself. I didn't even have an agent, didn't even know what an agent was. And I ran the 40-yard dash in a 4.25 on a flopping fishing shoe. And that's the honest truth. I couldn't afford shoes. And so then the Bills took me in the first pick, which is, it's just absolutely nuts. And then to go on to have the career with 4 Super Bowls of Bills, and just, guys, it just was a storybook from day one. And so I'm very honored to be used by the Lord through this whole process, and still today, coaching young men in football now. And I can honestly say this, guys, I cannot remember ever a day where I woke up and had to go to work and said to myself, God, I got to go to work. Man, every day I go to work. I love it, man. I love my job. I love what I do.
Awesome.
I've never had a bad day in the sense of going. Has there been bad days? Of course, everybody has bad days. But when I get up in the morning, it's like, man, I can't wait to go. I just love it. Every minute of it.
Well, as we were mentioning before the show started, you said you're going to coach till you're 70, if not later. So, everyone would like that situation. Be put in a position where you love the job you have, and when you retire, it's something that you're going to want to keep doing anyway. So you might as well, right? Don, real quick on your story. Yeah. One of the stories I love to hear about, and I did watch a bunch of your motivational speeches and all that, was the by chance of you showing up to your college combine. They were doing 40 times. It wasn't the combine. They were just running 40s randomly. Don showed up in the room, saw the Cowboys were there, a bunch of scouts were there, and the seniors were running 40-yard dashes. And Don said, I want to run it. So they let him run it. Was that another shoe story too? You didn't have the correct shoes, and you still ran like a 4.2 something. And it was the Cowboys that stopped Don and said, "We need to know more about you." And
if there was one part of my story, Scooter, that I struggle with, is that Dallas Cowboys started my career. I can't stand the Cowboys, right? So, but no, this is what happened during that time. That story is. I was just in math class, and I hadn't played college football. And I always tell people that my NFL career started before I ever played one down in college football. And people are like, how's that even possible? Mm-hmm. Well, this is how it happened. I went to college, left before the season started, did construction for 3 years, went back to school, I was ineligible to go to school because of lack of transfer credits, a lot of messed up, crazy stuff with the NCAA. So I ended up only having 1 year of eligibility in the NCAA Division I level, and it was at Western Illinois. And so I went back in the spring, and I was going to be a 5th-year senior, and I've never played it down. And I just happened to walk into the gym where they were having a pro day. I didn't even know what a pro day was. I literally had to go talk to coach about something. Can't remember what it was, but it had nothing to do with the combine. I didn't even know what was going on. So I see the guys that I just got through spring ball with that were going to be seniors running the 40-yard dash. And I'm like, man, I'd like to run. And I mean, can I run? Well, I was in my college attire. I was in a tank top, jeans, shorts, and sandals. And so I walk up to the coach, ask him what's going on. He tells me, and I said, man, can I run? And he goes, oh, Don, you're not on any film. And he's like, basically tell me, let's not waste their time. Yeah. And I said, no, I would really like to run. It'd be kind of cool. So he went down and asked the star on his chest, right? He asked that guy, and the guy said, yeah, let him run. Who cares, right? So I told coach when he got back, I said, geez, I got one more problem. Can I go back to my dorm room and get my running shoes and warm up a little bit? No, get in line. So I kicked off my sandals, got in line, jeans, shorts, no warm up. And I pitter-pattered to a 4.32, and that was the first time I ever ran a 40-yard dash. And the Dallas scout came right over to me. Those scouts, if you ever been to a pro day, they never talk to anybody. I mean, literally nobody. This guy was on a beeline for me. I mean, he was walking crisply to me as I turned around and started coming back. And he goes, what's your name? I said, Don Beebe. Don Beebe, what number are you on film? I said, well, I'm a 5th year. I've never played before. And he goes, you got to be kidding me. He says, I've been doing this for 21 years. He said, I've never timed anybody that fast. And I literally looked at him and I said, is that good? He goes, yeah, that's pretty good, son. So my career actually started right there.
Oh, wow.
Should I do it with flip-flops this time?
Yeah.
Your feet had to have been burning, though. I ran track, and just with those track spikes and all that stuff, your feet get hot. Were they burning?
They do get hot. I'm just glad it was on an indoor. It was just not an indoor, really hard surface is what it was, indoor track. So I didn't even care, guys. I was like, yeah, let's run, man. That'd be awesome.
Heck yeah.
What a great story. That's amazing.
It was. I only ran to 40 times in my whole career. That was my first one. Yep. And then the second one would have been at the combine, in what would have been February of '89. And I had no idea what I was doing there either. And I landed up going there, getting invited, which was crazy in itself. How's a guy from Jarrod State looking like me going to get invited to the top 300 guys in the country? I mean, give me a break, guys. No, that's not going to happen. So I got invited, and I go there. I don't have an agent. I didn't know what an agent was. And my roommate was Mike Barber of Marshall University. And I get into the door, and no sooner I get in the door, and the door knocked at our hotel room. We were staying at the Crown Plaza right down the street from the Hoosier Dome then. And it was the concierge to the Crown Plaza. He goes, these boxes are for Mike Barber. I said, oh, that's cool. And they're Nike shoe boxes. So I grabbed them and I took them over to Mike. I said, hey, what are those? He goes, oh, these are my shoes that my agent sent me that I'm going to run the 40 in tomorrow. I was like, agent? Really? 40? He goes, yeah. He goes, don't you have an agent? I said, I didn't know I needed one. He goes, man, you're crazy. You might be the only guy here that doesn't have an agent. He was laughing at me. He goes, well, what are you going to run the 40 in then? And I said, I looked down at my feet. I said, the shoes I walked into the building with, and they were my old ASIC fishing shoes from high school.
Oh,
okay.
That'll work.
And this is the honest truth. I wish I had a shoe in front of me, but the right sole of the shoe was half unglued. So when I ran, it really flopped. And honest truth. Now remember, if you were to Google this, what were the times in 1989 combine? They had no idea. Because remember now, in 1989, no media could get in the dome.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. So they were always on the outside of the dome. So when players or GMs or coaches would walk out, they'd be like, hey, well, you're going to get a whole kind of random numbers, right? So I didn't know that I broke the all-time record until, now again, this was 89, until 2003.
Okay.
I was training athletes, with House of Speed Business, and I was at the combine. I was sitting next to Bill Polian, who is now the general manager of the Colts, and Tony Dungy. We're sitting up in this box and we're going there, and he goes, hey, Beebs. This is Bill speaking. He goes, hey, Beebs, you still hold the record. I looked at him and said, what record? I didn't have any idea. He goes, the record. You and Dion both ran a 4.25 in 1989. That's still the record.
Wow.
I didn't know that. And that record stood for 17 years until Chris Johnson broke it in 06 or 07, and he ran a 4.23. And then a guy named Dodd ran a 4.22, and I think just this past year somebody ran a 4.21,
Worthy.
which
Worthy.
so broke the all-time record. So me and Dion are actually the longest standing record for the combine for the fastest time ever at a 4.25.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Wow.
but I did mine in a flopping fishing shoe.
Yeah, man.
And
Yeah.
the shoes they make nowadays are just crazy. The cleats that they wear is crazy. And you probably weren't wearing skin tight uniform either for the aerodynamics. So there you go. I give you
I was wearing my basketball
1.9
shoe.
all day.
My basketball shorts, man.
Yeah. Cool. You can hear them in the wind.
What a day. Oh, it's funny. I gotta just end with this on that story. Is I get to Buffalo, and Nick Nicolau was my wideout coach for the first couple of years, and then Charlie Joyner came in. I think my third year it was, and the first thing, Joyner couldn't wait to talk to me. I've never met the guy before. Hall of Fame, 18 years. He comes right over to me. He goes, "I got to ask you a question. The whole flight over here, I couldn't wait to see you." I said, "Yeah, what's up?" He goes, "What was that flopping noise in 1989 when you ran that 40? I was down by the 40. I was down by the finish line, and nobody could figure it out." I told him it's my shoe. He couldn't believe it.
You see that guy? Yeah, but he sure is fast.
Yeah.
Ran the soles right out of his shoes, man.
Yeah, it was good.
Did you have a deal with what were they, ASICs? Did you have a deal with
ASICs.
ASICs after the combine?
No, I wasn't much of a marketing guy. I'll be honest with you. And you know what? It's funny you bring that up. That's one of the regrets that I do have. I wish I'd have kept that shoe.
Yeah.
I wish I'd have kept that shoe. That would be such a great piece to show nowadays. But I threw it in the junk probably right after that combine, to be honest with you.
You know what, Don? I bet if you had an agent, you would have had one that had a
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
That's great. What a great story. Well, we got some people in the comments. Got a couple questions for you, Don, if you don't mind.
Love it.
Let's see here. Corey Blaine, long time 24/7 guy here. He says, "Mr. Beebe, what is the number one play you always remember or think about, rather good or bad, that you had?"
Yeah, I get that question a lot, and really the answer is I want to tell you what my most exhilarating moment was, because you can get so high, with emotions in a game, and mine was my rookie year. And most people might say, "What, landing on the head?" No. So remember now, this was 1989 was before K-Gun.
Mm-hmm.
K-Gun didn't come into the early 1990s. So here we are. It was Andre, Chris Burkett, and Flip Johnson, and I was the fourth receiver. So we never went 4 wide receiver sets ever. And 5 receivers was uncalled for, especially when you got Thurman, right? But with that being said, I never got to play in the first 2 games. And so Kelly goes to coach Levy on Monday, I think it was, after the second game, and he says, "We drafted this guy. I want to throw this guy the ball, man. Can we get him in the game?" So they cut Chris Burkett that day. That's the power of Jim Kelly.
Wow.
And so Flip came number 2, and then I slid into the number 3. So here it is. It's going to be on a Saturday afternoon, nationally televised game at the Astrodome, which was, pretty much the dome in the 80s. And I'm going to finally get to play. So I got the whole family, And I get on the field, first time ever on the field, and I get up, and who's guarding me? Chris Dishman. And here I get up, I'm running up the line of scrimmage, and he's getting right in my grill. He's like talking trash to me. And it was all in light and fun. He was like, "All right, rookie, come on, rookie." He goes, "I hear this white boy can run, man. I want to see this speed, man. Let's go." And I'm like scared to death, right? And I'm like, okay. So I didn't say nothing. I didn't say a word. So the next play, the next third down comes along, and it's now, I think, it's second quarter sometime, and maybe third quarter. And because we didn't go 3 wideout sets much early in that game. And all of a sudden it's a pass play this time. And I'm supposed to do a post corner. And right before we break the huddle, because we're huddling it then, and Kelly goes to me, he goes, "Beeps." He goes, if he's pressed on you, go deep, man. I'm throwing it to you. And I'm like, oh crap, here we go, right?
Here we go.
So I'm going blind scrims. I'm like, oh God, don't press. I'm literally talking to myself like this. And sure enough, he's up in my face, talking trash again, having fun with me. And I beat him for a 63-yard bomb. Yeah. And you could see it. Okay. So the first pass that ever went my way and the first catch in the NFL was a 63-yard bomb from Jim Kelly. And if you watch my reaction after I score, I'm skipping like little girl. Okay, I had no idea what I'm doing in the end zone. I'm like, and then Andre drills me, and the whole bench is cleared, and it was like the most exhilarating moment, okay, of all time. But here's the funniest part of the whole story, is the next series, third down, it's another run play, and I'm running out to the same side where Dishman is, and Dishman gets right up on my grill, and he's like, and then he backs up like 8 feet, and he goes, "Dang, white boy can run, man."
Got to give you space now. Yeah.
And I really enjoyed it. But that's the kind of relationships you had with guys, over the years. I mean, Chris played a long time. He's just a great guy. We had a lot of fun, and we talked like that a lot of times in games. And that's, I'll be honest with you, as a player, that's what I miss the most, the camaraderie with the team and the other guys that you played against. It was just a great era to play football.
That's amazing, man.
Yeah.
What a great story. I love this. We can do this all night. This is awesome.
I was going to ask, did Chris Dishman continue talking smack? But the gameplay is a lot louder than the actual words, so he probably got
more.
What? Yeah.
But he's a good guy. And everything that he was saying before the catch, even, he was just having fun. We were just having a good time. And he was young too. I want to say he was a rookie, or maybe his second year at that time, so he was young as well. And but yeah, I had a few other words for him later on in our careers, but it was all in fun and jest.
I got one for you, Don.
No,
you played with Jim Kelly and Brett Favre. Two guys that are just the toughest sons of guns you'll ever probably meet. Is there one or two quarterbacks in the league now that remind you of those two gentlemen that you played with?
Oh, wow. I it's hard to tell, who the quarterbacks of this era are from a personal level when I don't have, one-on-one conversations with the guys, right?
Sure.
Right.
Like I knew Brett and Jim. All I would say is Jim and Brett were unique individuals in the sense that they were literally quarterback mentality playing, or linebacker mentality playing quarterback. And more importantly, they literally were 10-year-old boys playing in the National Football League. I mean, they were just having fun. They didn't care. They just wanted to go play. Mm-hmm. And it's like you're growing up with these guys. You're in the backyard, and we're just drawing things up. The Pittsburgh Steelers game, and most people don't know this either, that game I had 4 touchdowns in, 3 of them were literally drawn in the dirt during the course of the no huddle. They weren't even a part of the call that was called from the sideline, or Jim, called a lot of the plays. He would just look out at me and just say, "Hey, run this touchdown." So it's like, that was like, come on, guys. It was so much fun playing in that. And Jim is one of the most loyal people you could ever meet. I don't know if you guys have ever had the chance to meet him. And I'll tell you one story that just exemplifies the man that Jim Kelly is. And even still today is, I had won the Super Bowl with the Packers. So it would have been in, that was January of 1997. And February, and my best friend from high school was at the game, and we were, walking the street of New Orleans the night before the game, and we're throwing a Nerf football around, me and my brother and his brother. So the 4 of us were inseparable when we were growing up, right, in Sugar Grove, Illinois. Well, 1 month later, he got killed by a drunk driver. Head on, shoved him into the trunk of his car, and he lived through the night, and he didn't make it through the next morning. He bled out eternally, I guess. And so I had a 2-year-old and a 2-month-old. I mean, I was just devastated. And I just had to do something for him, right? And so he was a big grizzly bear, this guy. And he was a big football guy. He's a math teacher of high school kids, dearly loved by the school. And he had a 2-year-old and a 2-month, and I had to do something for those kids. So I thought about doing a football camp for him. And I put this thing together within a couple months. And the first person I called was Jim. I said, "Jim, look, would you come and do this?" He goes, "When is it?" And I said, "Well, it's this sudden day." He goes, "Oh, Beebs." He goes, I'm in Miami at that time. He says, "Golly, I just don't think I would love to come, but I just don't think I can make it." So we hung up after the conversation. No problem, right? He calls me back in 5-10 minutes later. "Beebs, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to fly back a day early from Miami back to Buffalo. I'm going to grab my stuff. I'll catch the next flight out, and I'll get there." I mean, that's the kind of guy he is. Mm-hmm. So I had him, Reggie White, and Desmond Howard. Those 3 guys. I asked 3 guys. All 3 came, and Jim had to break plans. That's what kind of guy Jim Kelly is. Mm-hmm.
That's amazing, man. I gotta tell you, these are all the stories that I hoped had happened that I didn't know happened. So you're really just making my whole night, man.
Yeah, good. No, listen,
I love
all
it.
night, guys. I'm good, man. Talk Bills football all night.
Absolutely. Let's see. We got Paul Rossi. He's a longtime viewer of the show and a great friend of ours. He said, "Who was the best DB you played against or respected the most?"
Sure, Dale Carter. Dale Carter was with the Kansas City Chiefs, and the reason Dale was so hard, he had such long arms. He had tremendous length. He was a 4.38 40, mean as a rattlesnake. Never talked. Played with a big time attitude. He really was good. If he could have kept himself, from a professional standpoint, let's say, I think he could have been one of the greatest of all time.
Wow.
But from a technical standpoint, Dale was something else, man. So that was about it. I mean, there wasn't many outside of that I really struggled with a lot. But Dale was definitely my nemesis.
Damn Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, these Chiefs, I tell you.
Yeah. I'm not a big Chief guy either. But I will say this, guys, and I know Andy Reid very well. When I played with the Pack, he was a tight end coach. So I sat next to Andy for 2 years in pretty much every meeting. He is one of the most genuine, greatest men you'll ever meet. He really is. And I'm still really good friends with Andy. And I consider him an icon of the game. I think he's one of the greatest offensive minds, play calling, play designing people maybe ever. No question, he's a Hall of Fame coach. So I don't like that they beat us, but if Andy's going to beat my Bills, okay, I guess it kind of stomachs a little bit because it's Andy.
Right.
But he's a good man.
He is one of those like iconic figures in the NFL that you just can't help but like respect and really enjoy, really, So that's great.
And you know what, guys? He has a lot of the same qualities that Coach Levy. Coach Levy is, I mean, I don't know if of all the guys, and I think there was 24, 25, maybe 26 guys that played in all 4 Super Bowls. If you asked any of them, okay, about him, nobody would have 1 minute that they would say I didn't enjoy it with him. I mean, he is the most incredible, one of the most credible, definitely the most humble Hall of Fame person in the Hall of Fame. Just an amazing man. 98 years old, I think he is now, and still try to get dinner with him once a year. And he lives on the North Shore of Chicago, so it's 40 minutes from here. My wife Diane and I go down and eat dinner with Franny and him. And he's been to, when I was at Aurora Christian in that dilapidated field and no weight room, I was just a Bad News Bears on steroids, and so we had to rent this field that was so dilapidated that when you took a shower, the players took a shower, the water was halfway up their shin, rust and mold everywhere. And here we get to the first playoffs in 2004, and who's doing the pregame speech? Coach Levy in the locker room. I mean, just the video watching that just brings you to tears. And then he gave then I go to AU and he comes in and my first game there, homecoming, he's there doing the coin flip and doing the pregame speech. And I mean, he is an absolute incredible man.
Yeah.
Again, you are making me so happy.
Yeah.
Well, it's the things that you hear, you want to hear coming from the guys that are part of his life. It's like the Coach Andy Reid thing. You only see what the media is allowing you to see. But sometimes you get little glimpses. And one of my favorite things about Andy Reid is the commercial he was just recently in last year about chicken nuggies. It's like you can almost now do that play with chicken nuggies. I thought that was hilarious, but it tells you that the guy is more than just football. He's got a sense of humor. He could be funny. And that's just the glimpses that us as fans, I mean, you got to take it as it is because we're not showing much more than that. So it's fun. It's awesome to hear these stories come from people that know him.
Yeah, and so another compliment that you can give the two of those men is anybody that's ever met them or actually really knows them, I'm not sure I've ever said a bad word about either of them. I mean, usually people are going to say, he's a jerk, or man, he didn't sign this one time, or he was just, or whatever. I've never heard anything bad about those two ever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, I want to remind you real quick, we are part of the Buff Fan Base Network. Please go follow everybody over on Twitter. There's great programs over there. We got the Nickel City Crew. We got the Ryan Thomas Take Sports podcast. There's Tea Time with Robin, all sorts of great shows. Go check it out. Also sponsored by 26 Shirts. Go to 26shirts.com, see what Dell and the gang got going on. And buy a lot of stuff, man. Help out some families in Western New York. We're having a great time sitting here with Mr. Don Beebe, ex-wide receiver of the Buffalo Bills and Green Bay Packers. We do have a question right here that I wanted to get to from my dude, Mr. Nate Nacho. He said, "What's up, fellas? Great stories. Don, could you talk a little bit about the comeback game? What do you remember?" He's getting really into specifics here, but part of it that I really wanted to hit on is like, when did you know you were coming back to win that game?
Yeah, great question, Nate. So now keep in mind, if there was a guy that knew the inside story, you're looking at him, right? Outside of Frank himself. He was my roommate. Frank and we were roommates for 6 years, 5 with Buffalo and then 1 with the Carolina Panthers. And I'll never forget this morning. Usually, we wake up, pretty close to the same time. We go down and get breakfast, and then we get to chapel, and then we watch some film and have a team, meeting before we dispersed and go to the game. But this morning I woke up and Frank wasn't even in the room. I was like, oh, that's kind of weird. So I put my shorts on, a t-shirt, and I go downstairs to the, chapel. Don't see him in there. Thought he might be watching some extra film. No, he's not there, and can't find him. So I'm going back to my room, and I just happen to look out into the parking lot now. This is a cold, blustery morning, and his S10 Blazer is running. Smoke exhaust is coming out of his muffler, and I'm like, what in the world? Is this guy trying to kill himself or what? Right? I walk out there in my t-shirt, my shorts, and I'm freezing my butt off. And I walk into the window, and the window's cracked, and it's all fogged, and you can't even see inside his window. And I knock on his. I said, dude, what are you doing? He goes, Bees, I get it. He goes, I got to write these words of this song down. He says, just let me do this. I'll talk to you about it later. I could tell right now that was hands-off time, so we're good. Got it. Let's go get him, Frank, right? So I turn around, go back in the hotel room, and next thing you know, I really didn't talk to him at all before the game. And then we have the game that we had, right? 28-3 at halftime. Daryl's losing his mind at halftime, yelling at everybody, which he should have. And we go out there, and Frank was kind of the one that was the rallying cry. I mean, this guy never gave up. It literally was almost to the point where it's almost annoying. Like you wanted to just say, sit down, dude. Okay, sit down, right? Because what happened was, and everybody knows, is we go out there, we're all pumped up, and Frank's like, let's just start making plays, man. And so, sure, we made a play. First series, boom, interception, Bubba McDowell, 35-3. There's that. That's a great start, right? So we go over the sideline, and Frank is still pacing. I mean, you just watch him. He's just pacing and just kind of mulling over. And I know Frank, he was praying is what he was doing. And he just would not let it go. And I look back at it now, and even after the fact, I'm like, wow, what a testimony. So then start things, and to answer Nate's question, we score. Kenny scores the touchdown. Then we get the onside kick. And then the next couple plays later, then that's when I scored, and we made it 35-17. I think it was really the next touchdown with Andre that made it 24 from that. 17 was kind of like, okay, people are kind of getting crazy. Everybody was hopping the 12-foot fence back in the game, because there was 4 million people there. Just ask.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so, yeah. And so here we are. It was, I think from my standpoint, when Andre scored the 24th point, I was like, dang, we could do this. There's a lot of time left in this game. Mm-hmm. And I'll be honest with you guys, it was to Frank's testament of never giving up, holding the pieces together, staying positive in the huddle, that allowed everybody to start grabbing a little mojo. And that's why we landed up. And it's funny because, we both use plays. He used the comeback. I use the Leon Lett play to just impact people and never give up, because you never know the result until it's over, right? And when it's over, you better be able to look back and say, bless you. You better be able to look back and say, hey, I did everything I could. No regrets. That's how you got to live life, because you can live with the regrets if you give it your all. You cannot live with it if you don't.
Yep.
And that was just a great testament to Frank that day. And the moral of the whole story, guys, of what he was doing in the vehicle, so I can finish this up, was at the end of the game, complete chaos, right? I'm in the locker room, sitting in my locker, and the media is just like, Frank, we got to get you down there. It's like, it's nationally televised. It's a playoff game and everything like that. Well, of course, that wasn't, in Buffalo televised. So Frank's going down, and he stops like halfway to the media room. He goes, wait, whoa, I want to go back to my locker. And I grabbed the words that I wrote down to that song that he was writing on a piece of paper, in Christ Alone by Michael English. And he literally stood in front of millions of people, and he says, before I take a question, I have to read these words. Mm-hmm. And he read the words in Christ Alone, and it impacted so many people, including Michael English, who was watching it. Wow. Calls Frank, has his agent call Frank. Next thing you know, Michael English is in Buffalo doing a concert, and it was sold out. It was this awesome event. So wow. It was really cool. Great story behind the story.
Yeah, I love that. We talk a lot about how much we love the team and how you try not to be a homer all the time, right? But if you also have to root for them no matter what, right? And we always go back to these moments, and the comeback game to me is like one of those moments where it's like the odds don't mean anything until the end, right? Like then all of a sudden you look back and you're like, well, it's actually 100% that we won or we lost or whatever. And in that moment, it's like, I can just imagine like, well, they scored this many points the first half. How come we can't score this many points the second half? And it just like, that's a great story, man. I love it.
Well, I think you bring up a really good point too, Swank, is that the Bills fans are unique. They really are. Because come Monday, after a win or a loss, man, you know it. Mm-hmm. I mean, the whole time you feel the heartbeat of a loss, you feel the heartbeat of a win. But what I enjoyed most about Bills fans is when I would go out in the public, it wasn't like they wanted something from you. It was almost like, what can I do for you? I mean, that's unique. I mean, especially in our culture today, which we're so selfish. People are just so selfish. They want this and that and everything like that nature. But Bills fans are unique. So win or lose, they're there. I mean, they're bleeding it, man. And sure, do they get upset? They should, man. Times when you don't play good, you should get chastised. I dropped the ball. You know what? Hey, listen, what's wrong with Beebe? He sucks. Why'd we draft him? I don't mind that. I mean, it should be that. But it's because they're so passionate. Mm-hmm. To me, when I measure a person and I get to know a person, I measure them by their heart, not by what they look like, not by even really what they even say sometimes, because we get emotional. I want to know their heart, man. I want to know what kind of person they really are deep down. And that tells me what kind of person they really are. And Bills fans are full of heart.
Right, you even see it with the Four Falls of Buffalo after Norwood missed that field goal. They were chanting his name during the ceremony in the city. And then even as recent as the past couple of years, we lose a playoff game and everybody shows up at the airport to cheer on the Buffalo Bills. So, yeah, it started from the beginning as it hasn't stopped. And, I'm proud to be a Bills fan.
Yeah. Well, that was an emotional time, man. Downtown Square when they were – yelling out Norwood and this Scotty and just, oh my gosh, man. I'll tell you what, that poor guy, listen, we couldn't stop him. Get him off the field. What was it? I don't know, 19 minutes to whatever.
Yeah. From the end of the second half to the beginning, or the end of the first half to the beginning of the second half, you guys weren't on the field for 40 minutes or so.
And here, I'm going to give you the inside story of this one too. Okay. Ready? So, who was the holder? Frank. So on the bus on the ride back to the hotel that night, I was talking to him and I was like, man, I feel bad for Scotty. He goes, Beebs, I'm going to tell you right now, he hit that right where he wanted to hit it. I said, really? He goes, in pregame, every ball he was kicking was just hooking in. I mean, he hit that so good. And when it came off his foot, it sounded like a boom. He hit it big time. And there is no doubt when that first started out, there was no doubt that was coming in. It just would not come in. Scotty Norwood hit that kick exactly where he wanted to hit it. Why it didn't come in, I guess we'll have to ask God when we get there, because who knows? But it's like hitting a putt, and you hit a putt, and you're like, that's in, and then it lifts out.
That's amazing that you're using that analogy, because I was just thinking about, there's a guy that shows you online. about a ball tracing that lets the puck go in, right?
That's
in
right.
the same exact spot. He drops the same ball 4 times. First one goes in, the other 3 don't.
Yeah.
Same exact path. So
yeah,
hey man, that's
but
why you do the warm-ups. You knew what was working.
Exactly. And I will say this about Scotty Norwood. Not one time I've ever heard in any interview or anything that even after the post-game interview, did he ever say, man, I hit that right where I wanted to hit it. It just didn't come in. No, I missed it, man. Sorry.
Yep.
You know, that's what kind of guy Scotty Norwood is. Yep. He could have made excuse. He just took it right on the chin. Mm-hmm. And, but man, I'll tell you what a great guy he is too, as well. Just humble. And I felt bad because, I mean, for a long time, he didn't even really leave his house, to be honest with you. You know, the pressure had gotten so big and so crazy. That should never happen, guys.
No, not at all, man. Not at all.
You know, and how often something like that happens, and a lot of people forget the success he had to get the Buffalo Bills there. They counted on him for a lot of kicks to even get to the Super Bowl. And you forget about it.
It's true. That's true. I mean, we always want to focus on the negative.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say, though, not Buffalo. You know, I mean, there's always going to be that 10% goofballs, but not much in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Okay, those people, they just love Scotty. That, you know, I've done a few autograph things with Scotty, and man, those people just come out and, you know, floods for that guy. So it's just, you know, he hit a great kick, guys. Didn't come in. That's all it was.
100%. Yeah.
You got volunteers now?
I was 10 years old. I just remember, and I get knocked for this all the time. When the Bills lost, I would go in my parents' room, jump on the bed, slam the door as hard as I could. So I remember doing that. And you know what? I as a Bills fan, I'll be honest with you. I went through the 4 years being a huge Bills fan at the age of 10 and on, and I wouldn't change it.
Yeah.
It puts a certain like gusto or whatever. There's that life that you breathe when you go through that kind of thing, just as a fan. I mean, I can't even imagine as a player, but for me, it's like, you guys are my team. That's the first time I ever remember crying, like in my memory.
Yeah.
You know, and I never, not once, would ever have dreamt of not watching every game and rooting for every, you know what I mean? It just, for all those years, through all the drought and everything, and when you go through that kind of thing as a fan, and we're a fan first perspective show, and then you get the drought broken, and you get these little you get a Josh Allen, you get things happen on the other end. I end every show almost with, like, every week saying, appreciate this time, appreciate what we have right now, because we know what it's like, you know, and there was a big gap in between it, and fans our era or our age really understand that. And I think newer fans have kind of just sat right into it, and they get to see Josh Allen and you know, Stephon Diggs and all that stuff, and that's fun. But, like, you know,
well, I'm going to tell you another inside story. Okay.
Yeah, please.
And I'm going to tell you why the Bills lost 4 and Green Bay won it. Okay. And
this was a question I was loading up for you, but I didn't know how to ask it. I'm so glad that you did it.
Yeah. So
there you go, Swank.
You know, being on the sidelines and being in those games and being a part of that, you feel the heartbeat of the team, right? And you know, people ask me that question all, what was the difference in the two teams? I said, well, Buffalo was more talented, no question about it. Look at all the Hall of Famers off that team. So then why didn't they win the Super Bowl? And I said, well, I'm going to tell you why. You know, we played good offensively in the first one. It was good. You know, I thought Jim was sharp and Thurman was running well and against a great defense. You know, and it was a great game. Came down and we just didn't pull it out, right? Defensively, we could have certainly played better, and they know that. So then the next game came, and then you had some things that happened, you know, before the game and things that were said about their offensive line. And okay, that's just stupid talk, right? And they kind of use it as motivation, and you don't want to do that. And then the helmet thing, and that was blown out of proportion, guys, but yet it was a distraction. Okay, so you have these distractions. The next thing you know, we get, you know, started off wrong, and then things just started to get ugly. Okay, and we're like a deer in headlight. So we're not playing with the mojo that it takes to play, because one thing about guys that from Pee Wee football to, middle school, high school, collegiately, professionally, and then the bigger the games as you go, the emotions are like a bigger roller coaster. So you can get really high and you can get really low. The bigger the moment, right? The bigger the games. Well, the Bills did not handle the emotions of that Super Bowl game because of the pressure or whatever it was, distraction that we allowed as players, I think, and the organization, and the leadership within the game itself lacked. And I'm going to tell you, I'll give you the analogy. It was the fourth one. We're in Atlanta playing the Cowboys, we know. And the first half, we go in, I think it's 13-10. We're winning, and we're really handling the line of scrimmage. I mean, we're running the ball. We're offensively, we're moving it, and we're stopping them. Emmett's not doing a whole lot at all. And we go in the locker room up, and we get the ball first, and we're like, hey, guys, listen, we're going to come out. We're going to win this. We're going to finally, let's put this together. Let's put together a drive, get up 10, and let's put this game away. That was our mentality. And everybody was positive. And all of a sudden, within a few plays, boom, fumble. James Washington picks it up, scores a touchdown. Dude, there's a whole third quarter left. So you have the whole half left. You come to the sideline, dead quiet. Nobody's saying a word. Okay, there's no bickering Bills at this moment. Now, that was in 89, so we're over that. Okay, but nobody was saying anything. Nobody was pumping each other up. Nobody was positive at all. It was just quiet. It's at that moment that the older guys on that team have to say, you know what, enough's enough. Okay, enough's enough. But when you get into those moments, that's hard. And then all of a sudden it's over. And then it's too late, right, to say something. And so you gotta be able to say those things at the right time, because nobody said a word. And what happened? Offensively, we stunk. I'm not even sure we got a first down the rest of that half. Certainly didn't score anymore. And they went on, I think, and rushed for 3 more touchdowns right down our throat and just manhandled us. And it got really ugly. Okay. And so now you fast forward 2 years, I'm with the Pack. Same thing really happens in that game. We're playing the Patriots. We go up 10-0 early. Next thing you know, Bledsoe hits boom, boom, 2 touchdowns. We're down 14-10 sometime in that second quarter. Well, you come to the sideline now, completely opposite. Leroy Butler, Eugene Robinson, Reggie, Brett, myself. Now I'm so pissed. There's no way I'm losing another one. Okay. And everybody was just kind of like, guys, we're okay, man. They're not even that good. I remember guys saying, they're not even that good, man. We got this, man. Well, let's just keep going. What next thing you know, 27-14 halftime. Reggie comes out, owns the second half with 3 sacks, and it's over. And so the mentality was vastly different. And as a coach now, this is stuff that I coach. When you get in the bigger moments, guys, listen, we have to be able to stay even keel. Let's not get too high after somebody makes a great play. Great, so what? Get over it. And don't get too low, because guess what? Mistakes are going to happen, guys. Get over it. And the team that handles the emotion, and you watch historically win the Super Bowl, the team that really handles the emotion part of the game the best, okay, usually wins it. And who's the greatest to ever do that in NFL history? Hands down, Tom Brady. Hence why he's won so many Super Bowls. I mean, he would get down in the Super Bowl and be like, no big deal, right? Joe Montana was another one. I mean, the reason, and you guys you probably know the story of the Cincinnati Bengals. Okay, they're going out right before the last drive, and they're down. They got to drive 80 yards to score a touchdown with, I don't even know, a minute something left in the game, and they're about to get in the huddle. And what's he say? Oh, check it out, man! There's John Candy. I mean, dude, we got to go drive to win a Super Bowl here, and he's pointing out a celebrity in the. That's the kind of guy Joe Montana was, and Favre was the same way. I mean, Favre was. I don't know if I've ever seen Favre ever take anything serious in his life. That guy. I mean, that guy was just out there having fun. I mean, you guys have seen his videos. Yeah. I mean, he's a comedian, man. That dude is funny. But that in itself was the reason was Buffalo. That team was one of the most talented teams in NFL history. I don't think anybody's going to argue that point. Okay, with all the Hall of Fame guys, and we'd had everything we needed. We just could not handle the emotion. And the more Super Bowls we went to, the more that pressure built.
I'm sure the fuse got smaller and smaller every time.
It did.
Yep.
Yeah. It really did.
Well, yeah. I'm going to call this my closure show. Thanks, Don, for helping me get through to know that part of it. I mean, it does for the emotional part of it for sure. Definitely puts a new light on it. And I definitely appreciate that for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I like Josh. I think Josh is one of those guys, like a Favre guy and a Kelly guy, to that if when he gets those moments, I just think we got to put give him more of the opportunity to excel. And the other thing I would say is, we didn't have any divas, okay, on our team. You might say, well, wasn't Thurman? I'm going to tell you something about Thurman. Okay, Thurman, when he was one of the most team-oriented guys you could ever play with. Matter of fact, when I scored a touchdown, who was usually one of the first guys there to congratulate me and was Thurman. When I scored those 4 touchdowns in the Steeler game, I mean, he was just like, dude, this is awesome, man. I mean, that's the kind of team he was. He wasn't a diva. He wasn't like going to gym. Hey, dude, run the ball more. Give me the ball. That's why we won. And when you get divas that whine and cry that they don't get the ball, okay, all that does is tears your team apart. And think about this for a second. Think about all those great Super Bowl teams, okay, that won Super Bowls. I can't think of one diva. And, you guys, you could look at all the great, I mean, like Jerry Rice. Jerry Rice wasn't a diva. Jerry Rice wanted the ball, but he wasn't sitting there crying, throwing his helmet and whining why he wasn't getting the ball. Dude, he was just like, let's win. And that's what it takes. And I think, I don't know some of the young guys with this Coleman guy. I like what I see so far, but I gotta see him in the game. But, they're harder to find nowadays. They really are. And almost every team has one now, it seems. But the ones that really, really are going to pull this thing together, and see, Josh is that kind of guy. Now we got to put all these star players around him that are same type of that type mentality. Backyard 10-year-old boys out there playing football. That's how you win. Instead of worrying about your stat book or how much money you're making and all that crap, just go out and play football.
100%. 100%.
And Jarrod always brings light to this. We always see the front office bring in players that have that C on their chest, even in college. So that's a great way to. Obviously, they've earned that captain.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's the kind of establishment you're bringing into this culture. That's a good way to start. Figure out who's got the captain, who's become a captain throughout their college career. They're natural leaders, and they're good for the program.
No question. Marv Levy taught me one thing when I took the job at Aurora University, and I went to dinner with him, and I asked him that one question. I said, hey, so, I just want to, and I'm ready to take notes, right, from one of the greatest minds ever. I'm like, hey, so what do you look for to left tackle and a quarterback and a defensive end and all these things? He said, Donnie, and he calls me Donnie. People that are real close call me Donnie. So he goes, Donnie, he says, before you ever get to that, he says, recruit 3 things: character, character, character. If he doesn't pass the character test, move on. He says you're going to win a lot more games with him, and it's going to be a whole lot more enjoyable when you do win and when you lose. He said, find character. So that's what I've done. And believe me, I've had some guys that just awesome players on film. And then I meet them. You're not my guy.
Yeah.
And the first question that I asked him right out of the box, and I said, I want to know what your top 3 most important things are in your life. What are they? And if he says football first, I'll look at him and I said, son, you got your priorities screwed up.
Right.
And I don't care if his mom and dad are there. And I say it in a very nice way. He goes, well, what do you mean football? I would think you'd want that. And I said, nah. Yeah, football's important, but it's not the most important.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I just, it just tells me a lot about a person when I hear that answer.
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, you got to have that heart. I feel like Josh Allen is one of those guys. He's like a golden retriever, right? And you see him out there, and he's just having fun, and he loves it. And when all this disarray and all the BS in the media was happening, and the turmoil, you could see it was like affecting his play a little bit, or at least his attitude. And you're thinking, like, all these character guys here, like, you want everybody to be like, like Khalil Shakir last week said, I'll run go routes all game. I'll block all game. Whatever gets us a win. I'm here for the team. And it's like, those are the guys that Josh Allen needs. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
Listen, when you see your quarterback out there selling out his body on a run, I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy, this Josh Allen is a dude now. I would take Josh Allen on my team all day. I think personally, if I'm drafting a quarterback, I'm taking him number 1. No doubt. I'm just going to put the people around him.
Yep.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Guys, thank you so much for hanging with us. We got 945 watching live. So many of you throwing in comments and questions for Don, and it's 9:15. We're past overtime. Usually we sign out at 9, but we started a little bit late tonight. Don, I'm good to sit here as long as you want to sit here.
Hey, listen, I just need another cup of coffee and I'm good, man.
We got a couple more questions and we'll wrap it up, but we'd love to have you back on for sure, man.
Yeah,
You're so great. Let's see here. We had this is the one I wanted to get to. Our boy Adam says, what was going through your mind when you chased down Leon Lett? We had to get there.
Yeah, so I'm gonna, the Leon Lett play for me. I'm gonna share a little bit about my faith on this because it resonated in this play. And I remember, before the game. Now, again, growing up in Sugar Grove, Illinois, in my backyard as a young kid, I always dreamed of playing in the Super Bowl in Pasadena, right? Fred Biletnikoff, Plunkett, Cliff Branch, and in the 70s. And here I am. I'm living my dream, man. I'm like, I'm in Pasadena, the field that I dreamt about, and I'm going to play in the Super Bowl. I mean, it's crazy. And I remember it was a beautiful day. I was in my His Pain, Your Gain cutoff shirt that I always wore under my pads, and my game pants and game shoes. And I'm out about an hour before the game. And I take 2 laps around the field, just taking all the sights in. Garth Brooks is going to do the national anthem. Michael Jackson is going to do the halftime show. I mean, what a show, man. Right? And I go to the 50-yard line and I took a knee. Now, I always pray before every game. I pray every day. But this prayer, I'll never forget. And I took a knee and I just simply said, Lord, let today be the day that I glorify your name more than ever before in my career and ever again in my entire life. Let this day be the day I glorify your name and not mine. And it was just such a humble prayer. And I'll be honest with you, selfishly speaking, guys, I got up and I'm like, oh man, I felt good, man. I was like, I'm gonna score this one-handed J.J. Jefferson stab in the back of the end zone to win the Super Bowl for the Bills. Oh my gosh, I was just like, I'm gonna go back. They're never gonna get me off the plane, man. I mean, that's how I felt, right? Yeah. Selfishly speaking, no, God gave me the Leon Lett play. Yep. And in a blowout of 52-17 with 4 minutes left to go in the game. And you watch my reaction when it happened. I was mad. I'm still mad. I'm upset. We're getting whooped. I didn't know at all what just happened. I had no idea until I got in the locker room. And when I got in the locker room and Ralph Wilson, the owner, literally walks in, and when the owner walks in, and he bypassed everybody. I mean, you could tell he was on a mission to get to me. And he literally walked right over to me. I mean, people were like, hey, Ralph, blah, blah. No, where's he at? And he walked right up to me and he said to me, he goes, son, he didn't call me 82 or Don, and he said, hey, son, he goes, I just want you to know something. He said, you showed me exactly what the Buffalo Bills are all about. And you showed all America exactly what Buffalo is all about. And I looked at him and I said, well, thank you. And I was like, and then it kind of hit me a little bit. And then Scott Birchall, the marketing guy, he goes, hey, they want to talk to you down in the meeting. I was like, dude, tell Jim to go down there. I don't want to go down there, right? and so I went. I mean, I'm not going to turn down the media. And I get down there and there's like, I mean, every microphone. I mean, there's 100 microphones at my podium. I'm like, dude, what is going on, right? And okay, I scored a touchdown, but it meant nothing. The Leon Lett certainly never even crossed my mind. And then the flood of questions. What were you doing? Why were you thinking? Why'd you run him down? And I was like, wow. And then I got back to one Bills drive. Holy smokes, guys. Over the next course of weeks and months, I'm not kidding you, I've got fan mail letters in boxes. And I'm talking about big boxes, hundreds every single day. Here we are. What is it? I don't even know anymore. 30 years later? Okay, I don't know, guys, how far we are from that, 28. And we're still talking about this play. Every single day, guys, and this is the honest truth, every single day, I get fan mail letters, okay, that tell me about the Leon Lett play. And here, a matter of fact, here, you'll appreciate this. These are still fan mail letters I got to fill out now. And I promise you, almost all those, this guy needs this picture signed. Okay, I mean, it's like, wow, these people are still talking about it. So here's the moral to the whole story, and this is where I share my faith. Is I stand at a lot of stages and talk. to people. And I'm one of the most introverted people you'll ever meet growing up. I mean, I just hated talking in front of people, but God gave me a gift of playing football and being the first pick of Bills and having this play, the Leon Lett play. Because when I stand on stages or I talk to a football team or whomever, I'm talking to so many 900 people, you said on this podcast tonight, it will resonate with people. But how many people can relate to a one-hand stab in the back of the end zone in a Super Bowl? Nobody. But how many people can relate to never giving up? Everybody. Especially after what we just went through 4 years ago. I mean, people were just giving up. And it has given me such a platform to speak on this, man. When I wake up in the morning, guys, I'll be honest with you, man, my feet are going. I mean, I'm 60 years old almost here in a few months, and I'm like, I feel like I'm 20, 30 years old. Let's just go, right? Let's just attack this thing. And I really feel that when it's all said and done for Don Beebe and I stand in front of God, he's not going to say, hey, great job, all the wins as a coach and a player. No, he's going to say, hey, I brought this kid to you in 2024. What'd you do with him? That drives me. This letter that this 10-year-old boy that might have just wrote in his letter, and he just needs you to maybe say something nice to him. That goes a long way. Okay. And I can't ever forget that, because that to me is what I'm going to stand in judgment for, all those things. So that drives me as a man today. And that really is kind of the moral of the whole story of the Leon Lett play. It wasn't, because I always say this, and on the other side of this is how you react to something, guys, is really your character. Because if you have a minute, if you have an hour, you have a day to think about it in our marriages, in our relationships that we have with you guys on your podcast all the time. I mean, if you have time, we're going to come around. We're dudes, right? Hey, we're good, right? We're good. But how you react to something when somebody does something to you, that's really your character. I mean, it really is. And so, and people are like, why'd you run them down? Why'd you do that? I said, my parents. Listen, man, my parents raised me in a home. Hey, listen, you're not quitting. Quitting is not an option in this family. Matter of fact, it was so much of that way in my culture, my dad's culture in the house, that whatever I took on my plate at dinner, I was finishing it. You're not gonna throw that in the garbage, or you're not gonna slap it down to the dog. You're gonna finish that when you put it on the plate. There's little things like that teach you the character of never giving up. So it's not like I sat there and think, wow, I think I'll run them down. No, you just react. Coach Levy is another thing that he used to say, guys, all the time, almost before every game. He said, guys, your character will be revealed in every game you play, good or bad. Make it good. And boy, it resonated with me big time.
Amazing insight, man. It's so great talking to you, and I love it. I love all of it. It's great, man. It really is, and it's so true. I mean, at the end of the day, that's all we got left, right? Like, you could have just let him go, right? But that wasn't in you, and I love that. I really love that.
What I also love about it is the fact that before the game you said a prayer. Yeah. So hopefully, I don't know what your vision was, but it probably wasn't that. And then that's the answer that you got, that this is your vision, Don. This is what this is all about. It's not the glory. It's not the Super Bowl championship. Your message is this play right here, and that's going to push you forward. So what you ask for is not necessarily what you're going to get. It's you're given this for a reason. Take advantage of it and go with it.
That message speaks volumes. That message speaks volumes, and it doesn't matter how it looks, and it's not the most glorious, but it may be the most, the one that hits the most and can relate to people the most, and that's what counts.
Yeah, I'll tell you another story, and this is in one of the stories in the devotional book, Never Give Up, is when I went to Carolina. It was, I'll be honest with you, in all my career playing sports, it was the worst year by far. It was an awful experience. And I didn't go there with those anticipations, obviously, right? Another reason I respect Coach Levy is he brought me into his office after my 6th year in Buffalo, and he just said, remember we went to 4, and then in 1994, we didn't do anything. So they were ready to move into a younger generation. So they were moving on from Don Beebe's and Metzlars and Franks and people. And so I was like, okay, if it's not going to end in Buffalo, and Marv brought me into his office and sat me down man to man and told me instead of putting it over the national media or anything like that. I mean, he's a professional guy. He's just a genuine person. So we talked it out, and I said, hey, Coach, I appreciate the time, man. That's why we still have that high respect for each other today. all we got to do is talk to each other, right? There's a concept. So so I wanted to go somewhere. I see Pete signs with the Carolina Panthers. I see Frank signs with the I'm like, man, Empolion's there. I'm like, man, I got to go to Carolina. So we reach out to Carolina and we worked out a deal. And man, I'm going down there telling me I'm going to be the number one guy. I'm going to be the oldest wide receiver in the room and with the most experience. And I'm going to be the guy. And Frank's going to be the quarterback. Man, this is like a slice of heaven, right? Of football for us, right? And so I go down there and I break my rib third day in training camp. So I'm out a couple of weeks and I came back and hardly ever saw the field again. I moved from number one on the depth chart to number 3, and it was an awful experience. And I got MF'd every day. It seemed like I was made to feel by my wide receiver coach and offensive coordinator like I couldn't play. And it was an awful experience. And I'll be honest with you, from a human nature, I was ready to hang up the cleats, man. I was like, I don't need to go through this. You know, which, just so you know, everybody that plays sports, guess what? You're going to feel like this at some point in time in your life. Okay. So I had a decision to make. Was I going to wallow in my self-pity, you know, start pointing fingers and things like that? Or was I going to look in the mirror and see what I could do and get on my knees and pray? Because, guys, listen, one thing I learned throughout my career, my identity is not in football. Okay. My identity is in the Lord and in my faith, period. And then when it starts there, everything else seems to just kind of fall into place, doesn't it? So that's how I did it. And so the nice thing about it is center yourself around godly men. Who was my roommate? Frank, a godly man. And he was going through the same thing. They told him he was going to be this. And I don't want to share Frank's story because that's his story, but they bring in Kerry Collins, the number one pick. And they started to make Frank look like he couldn't play and all this stuff. And I'm witnessing this in these meetings. And I'm like, dude, what are they doing to him, man? And we were both upset for each other. And so we're roommates, and what do roommates do? Usually when they go on the road in the hotel, they flip on the tube and watch, you know, a movie or something, right? Or they go to dinner. Not Frank and I. Frank and I would open up the Word. We share with each other. We pray for each other. Just a very unique situation. Frank really helped me get through that trying time in my life, and I hope that I helped him get through it. And so we made a pact that we were going to go to practice every day because neither one of us wanted to go. We hated every day. Right. Okay. And we were both ready to just you know, give it up. And we said, no, we're going to go every day. Okay. We're going to fight this battle. We're going to go every day with a great attitude. And man, we started balling, man. I mean, he's the backup there. I'm the backup wide out. He's throwing it to me every time. I mean, we're just killing these guys. 1-on-1, 7-on-7s teams. And we're just killing him. I mean, I felt great. Right. And did my circumstance change? No. Still go to the wideout meeting, feel like I can't play, you know, because I'm going to tell you, as a coach, I could sit there and pull up film on anybody. I can make Jerry Rice look bad. Just point out all the bad things he does, right? Sure. And I can make somebody not so good look great on all the good things, and that's what was happening. So, but the cool thing about this is this, and I really believe that people miss out on so many blessings that God has for them because we try to do it on our own. We wallow in our self-pity, and we want to point fingers and blame everybody else instead of just saying no, enough's enough. Today's a new day. Tomorrow's another day. And I'm going to make them better. And I'm going to get on my knees and I'm going to pray every day that God helps me. And he will, but you got to pray. Right. So God blessed me. He got me out of Carolina. I got cut for the first time in my whole career. You know, and where'd he take me? Green Bay Packers. Green Bay Packers. I go there and I land up statistically having the most catches, most touchdowns, most yards in my whole career at Green Bay that year. Go to the Super Bowl and we win it. And who do we beat in the NFC Championship to go to the Super Bowl? Carolina Panthers. Yeah, see, God has a sense of humor too. But I really believe this, and this is the moral of this whole story, is that if I would have wallowed in my self-pity, guys, I would have missed out on the Super Bowl. Yep. I really believe that. Absolutely. I would have retired. I would have quit. I would have had self-pity. But I chose to go down a different path, and that was God's path instead of my selfish ambition path. And that's how it worked out. And boy, that was a life lesson for me to learn. I've learned it in coaching. I've learned it in business. And there's going to be a lot of bad days. You know, turn the bad days into good days with your attitude. And that's what I've done.
Oh, yeah.
Great words,
man. You guys are quiet, man. You guys are quiet, man.
Yeah, we're just in it, man. We're just in it. Did you say you were a motivational speaker?
Believe me, I'm not good at it. If it wasn't for the Lord, but
I might wake up at 5 a.m. and jump on that treadmill that's been hanging outside my door for the last three months.
There you go.
There
Love
you
it.
go. Guys, we're rolling up at 9:30. I think we're gonna put a little a cap on the end of this night, and we got 1,016 of you joining in on an off-season show of the K-Gun Report. Appreciate you guys so much. Thank you for hanging with us and for throwing questions at the great Don Beebe. There's a couple little comments that I wanted to throw your way, Don. That came in from people. Our boy Adam says, Mr. Beebe, we had a book in my school library when I was 7. You could write to teams as a fan, and I wrote to the Bills, and you were my favorite wide receiver. You sent me an autograph card and a nice message. I still have that card. So great.
Awesome.
So that's from way back when. Absolutely.
Thanks, Adam.
Let me see here. There was another one. There's so many coming in. Thank you guys so much. Let's see here.
Hey, listen, we're definitely doing this again, guys. I love talking to Bills fans.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
We'd love to have you back.
Yeah.
Our boy Nate right here says, what an amazing person. I told my girlfriend I'm listening to Don Beebe on the podcast. She immediately responded, he came to my elementary school back in the day and read us Darby the Dinosaur. Awesome. How much you touch and inspire people's lives.
Darby was big time, man. I used to read that to my kids all the time, Darby.
Oh, yeah, Darby the Dinosaur.
All right, guys. We're going to
pull that out of the archives.
Yeah, put a little cap on this. Don, what we usually do is go around the panel, give a final thought, and a go Bills. So if you wouldn't mind, just give us a little final thought. We'll roll around and we'll call it a night.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, my final thought is I absolutely love coming back to Western New York. Absolutely love the Bills fans. Always have, always will. And it's because of their genuine heart for the team. And man, when they threatened to take the team out of Buffalo, man, that'd crushed us all.
Yep.
And they're going to win it one day. And when they do, that town's going to be crazy. And I hope they bring back the 90s team, those guys that went all 4, and, would love to celebrate it with Josh and the guys. That would be awesome to be able to do that. We'll see. It's going to get done one day. I hate to promote things that I do, but I would love to people to, and I know that the questions on this, because a lot of people join late, as far as speaking engagements, I love going around speaking at functions and stuff of that nature. And then the new book, obviously Never Give Up. I just wanted to promote it only because I think it can help people. And I share, like the Carolina story that I just shared, that's in the book. And in the Leon Lett plays in the book. And it's all centered around my faith and just helping people get through tough times. And again, the only way you can get those things in speaking engagements is donbeebe.com. That's it. So I appreciate you letting me just, bloviate a little bit there for 30 seconds, but
sure.
But I do appreciate, guys, what you're doing. You guys are genuine Bills fans, you can tell. And I would love to come back on your show.
Love it.
Amazing. Did you hear that, Jarrod? Make sure you clip that and post it. Don, thanks so much. And please go to donbeebe.com. I've shared the link in all of our stream places several times throughout the night. Pick up a copy and Never Give Up. There's some people that have said they've already gone and done it. So hopefully we get a little bit of circulation there and spread the word. Jerry, what do you got for a final thought, my man?
I'm in awe. These nights are always fun when we have players on. We talk football. We hear their stories about stuff we didn't know happened. And Don, we just like to listen. Sometimes we talk a lot when we're by ourselves, and we know when to just hush and just take in all the greatness. So thank you for sharing your stories. I know you have a lot more. We'll get you back on and share them. And oh gosh, this is just. Thanks for joining us. I can't say it enough, and I won't forget to go Bills this time, Swank. But I can't wait to see everybody next Tuesday. And then the following week, we have Mr. Lodish, 2-time Super Bowl champ, joining us too. But we'll get more on that too. So it's great. It's great. And I got the gold helmet tonight just to represent the gold, Mr. Don Beebe, Buffalo Bills.
Love it.
Nicely done, Jerry. Scooter, what do you got, my brother?
I visited donbeebe.com, guys, and if you go to that site, there's a lot of wonderful videos and all that stuff. Obviously, the link to the book, but a lot of Don's stories is the trials and tribulations, the scenarios that come up that normally would not come up that presented himself, and you got to take advantage of it. Us Bills fans have been through a lot. We've been through those, some would say the worst of worst, with the 13 seconds, the comeback, the 4 Super Bowls, all that stuff. There is a path. And eventually we will get to that goal that we all have as Bills fans and the players have as Bills players. And when it does happen, like Don said, it'll be a celebration of the 1960 Buffalo Bills. It'll be a celebration of the 1990 Buffalo Bills, the drought Bills, and the fans that were along with it, and the fans that unfortunately will never be able to see a Bills Super Bowl victory. It'll be an emotional roller coaster for us all, but it's all gonna be worth it at the end. It's always worth it. You keep striving, you keep fighting for that one goal. It's always worth it, and it will happen. And I can't wait to be a part of it. Don, thank you so much for being a part of our show. We can't wait to have you on again for sure. And I know one of my best buddies, Josh Cook, is just probably sitting there in awe with his jaw down to the ground because you're his favorite player. He's got your autographed jersey. He showed us it. It's an awesome time, and thank you for taking the time and joining us tonight. Thank you.
It's an honor.
Absolutely, you guys, man. You think that you took all the meat off the bone, but I'm going to tell you, you haven't. All right. This is a dream come true to do this show with 2 of my best friends and literally one of my heroes growing up. And I'm absolutely so blessed to be in this position with you guys. So thank you so much for A, supporting this show, for B, supporting 24/7 Buff Fandemonium and the Buff fan base and 26shirts.com. I'm going to do it, man. Hold on to these times, take in these great moments, support this team, man, and take some great lessons from a great guy like Mr. Don Beebe, and get over to donbeebe.com and buy Never Give Up, man. I'm doing it right now, actually, as we're speaking. So I might have to get you to sign a copy for me, Don, if you don't mind. Guys, listen, you can find us right here every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the K-Gun Report. You can get us on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. You can follow us all of those places. You can go to 247buffandemonium.com and check out all the new blogs and great content we have over there. There's a store, all sorts of great stuff. Don't forget to follow Buff Fanbase and 26shirts.com. And man, thanks again, Don, so much for being a part of this. All there's left to say, go Bills.
That's right. Bills make me want to shout, baby. Right?
Hey.
That's right, man.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
My theme song on my phone, man.
Very nice, dude.
Go Bills. All right, guys. Thanks, man. I appreciate it.
See you. Have a great night.
Thank you.
Let that fuse and run.